behave like men in drunken stupor. Kuka. Why Nigeria's Oil Belongs to the North by Usman Bugaje says constituency projects are SPVs for corrupt practices. Governance by try and error is not helpful. We move on to the major story on the Vanguard this morning. Recapitalization. Banks sweat over exclusion of 3.8 trillion naira retained profit. Several writers says it is unfair to banks, stakeholders, investment analysts. Exclusion in line with Basel III standards. CBN source. Analyst projects forex inflow. Further naira appreciation. See fresh mergers and acquisition happening soon. Away from that one, Easter, Obi, governors, others task Christians on love, sacrifice. Echo Disco, Dr. Tinuade holds fort as MD CEO. Aviation fuel. Domestic airlines groan over rising prices of Jet A1. NSCIA to governors, stop asking Tinubu to curb insecurity in your states. And finally, Okwama residents trapped in forest send SOS to Tinubu.
I will go to the Guardian newspaper now. Oil theft persists in Niger Delta despite militarization and private security. That's a lead story on the front page of the Guardian newspaper today. You can see a chart of the reported oil theft incident in the first quarter of this year alone and the billions that have been carted away as a result of this menace. 2,426 oil theft incidents reported in the first quarter of 2024 alone as oil production struggled to hit 1.7 million barrels per day, which was the benchmark set in the 2024 budget. Front page of the Guardian today. Residents warn pro-Wike lawmakers over impeachment threats. That's another story on the front page of the Guardian today. Sonny, Wike, others get ultimatum to publish agreement and accounts for 5.9 trillion naira as well as $4.6 billion loan. CSOs write CJN lament poor state of judiciary in the country. Imperative of managing fallout of the Okwama killings in Delta. I guess that's an editorial from the Guardian today. Go to court. Financial burden of processing electoral matters in Nigerian courts. Another opinion piece there. Man kills friend of a motorcycle, dumps body in bush. Islamic cleric, 2 others arrested for possessing human part in Ondo. And why Nigerians suffer unstable power supply? Well, that's an explanation being offered by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, front page of the Guardian today.
And to the Punch newspaper, banks eye Euro bonds, foreign investor for 4 trillion naira fresh capital. Naira closes 1,309 to $1 as banks sell $2.5 billion. Dangote, 106 others get tax holiday over 2.5 trillion naira investments. Delta bloodbath, fleeing Okwama villagers lament hunger, snake bites. Easter, that's the major one. Governors, senators beg Nigerians, say hardship over soon. 2 writers to that story. To the major one, Tinubu will steer Nigeria to greatness, says Zulum. Other governors preach love, condemn crimes. Set deadline on war against terror. Kuka tells president. Pope seeks peace in Africa. And we take 3 more stories before we move on to another paper. TCN raises the alarm over planned attacks on power facilities. To the red corner, police begin search as Benue man drowns in Ogun. And finally, confusion as man dies in car during Good Friday service.
Right to the Daily Trust now. Kebbi resident loot government and private warehouses. Palliatives not solution to hardship, Bayelsa governor warns. Another rider to that story. Kuka charges number on food and physical security. Ceasefire talks resume as Israel kills 400 Palestinians in 2 weeks. 20 die of Lassa fever in Benue State. Kano sacks 3 health workers, suspends 3 others over extortion. Debt. Kaduna APC suspends women leader for criticizing Governor Uba Sani. Nigeria records 55.2 billion trading balance with the UK government. Easter celebration, ACF, that's the Arewa Consultative Forum, urges prayers for security and resuscitation of the economy. Front page of the Daily Trust today.
All right, and we move on to the Premium Times paper. Treasury looting and questions over Tinubu's anti-graft drive. That's an editorial this morning out of the Premium Times paper. 3 children killed, 4 injured in Taraba gun accident, according to police. 3 bandits group participated in Kuriga student abduction, received ransom. According to sources, police arrest 8 suspects over killing of officers in Delta State. Tenure policy official rejects NUC's directive to retire. Police raid IPOB ESN hideout in Enugu, kill 2 official. Ex-PDP Senator, LP governorship aspirant, others defect to APC in Enugu. Nigerian private university announces huge increase in fees. Malabu oil deal, why court discharged ex-AGF Adoke 6 others. Amnesty Cake says police declared Nigerian journalist wanted. How America's 2 big parties select presidential candidates sat on the foreign side. And troops raid IPOB camp, exhume bodies of kidnapped victims from shallow graves, according to officials. And I take one more story. Police arrest suspected ritualist in Ondo.
Right, to the nation before we take our first commercial break this morning. Ondo 2024 governorship. Jim Ibrahim says, I'm the most qualified, and is listed his various qualifications, 9 university degrees, 2 national honors. He says he served as temporary president of the 140th General Assembly meeting of the International Parliamentary Union in Geneva, Switzerland. All of those are right here on the front page of the nation today. 3 presidential jets proposed for sale. Right into that story, cost of maintenance is not a burden to the government. Kaduna's death, El-Rufai's son Bello disagrees with brother. Clergymen leaders preach peace, love and unity to mark Easter celebration. ACF urges prayers for security and economy. Front page of the nation today.
All right, we've gone our first commercial break. Remember, we're live on Facebook, 32FM 949 Fenye, as well as YouTube, 32FM 949 Fenye. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM 94.9, the antidote to depression. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
ẹ kú náwó òwúyè ẹ sì kú náwó ìyàwó dórí sísí ilé tuntun àwòdámiẹnu ẹ kú náwó ọjọ́ bí ẹ sì kú ìnáwó retirement ẹ dájú ẹ sọ́nà yóò kò láyọ̀ o àmọ́ mo fẹ́ rán yín létí kinní kan ní gbogbo ètò ló ti tò kalẹ̀ yìí tẹ náwó rẹpẹtẹ ẹ ti sanwó eléré ẹ sanwó aláṣẹ onígbàgàrí àti gba tiẹ̀ ẹ sanwó ráìsà dórí àwọn bánsà àmọ́ ṣá o ó kú kinní kan tẹ́ ẹ kà sí ṣùgbọ́n tó yẹ ká ẹ náwó gidi lé lórí ìyẹn gangan ni Parrot Extra Magazine ni wọ́n ṣe rán yín létí pé gbogbo ìnáwó tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe yẹ kó lákọọ́lẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ìtàn tó rọ̀ mọ́ àti máa ṣe bọ̀ rẹ nínú ayé lórí àwòrán ojúlùmọ̀ ọ̀rẹ́ alájọbí tẹ́ bá ya fọ́tò lójú agbo kì í sọnù ó sọdún 12 ló tún fẹ́ tún yẹ̀ wò tọ́ lọ́ọ́ náwó sínú àká fún àwọn ìran tó ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn àkọọ́lẹ̀ kì í parẹ́ o Parrot Extra Magazine làwọn tó láròjinlẹ̀ ń lò fún gbogbo ayẹyẹ wọn ilé ìjọba gan òfin wọn ṣeré lórí ilé iṣẹ́ àdáni Parrot Extra oníkọ̀ọ̀kan sí tó bá láyẹyẹ ṣe o 0805500 1736 0805500 1736 lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára www.pmparrot.com kàn sí PM Parrot káyẹyẹ rẹ̀ ó gbìnàyà.
ọ̀kọ̀lọ́kọ̀ mariaba làwọn sálà mariaba làwọn sálà oṣù ìkẹ́dẹ́ ramadana mariaba làwọn sálà. múmínì pẹ̀lú múmínà 32 FM kí wa 94.9 ni wípé àkó àmójúbà Ramadan oṣù kẹtùndé ọyẹ ẹ̀jẹ̀ aṣọ nígbàwọ̀ iye tá a gbára bá ká ìṣẹ́jú 5 ìṣẹ́jú 10 ìṣẹ́jú 15 ọgbọ̀n ìṣẹ́jú wákàtí kan lọ́wọ́ tí kò gara lọ ní 32 FM 94.9 fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé ẹ lè pa alága Ramadan ẹlò ẹlòmí ṣàyẹ̀dùn 07083196095 kọ́lá mọ́bẹ̀ yìí sópin a ó ṣe púpọ̀ ọdún láyé.
32 FM 94.9.
jọ dúró ná mílò yìí yàtọ̀ o Mo ń wàkọsílẹ̀ support energy release lára ẹ̀. Ṣé Milo kan náà ní ṣá?
Rárá o, tuntun lélẹ̀, ó dára ju ti tẹ́lẹ̀. Àkọlé support energy release tẹ̀ ń wo ìtumọ̀ sí wípé ìgbà tí ẹ bá fún àwọn ọmọ yín ní Milo nínú oúnjẹ àárọ̀, ẹ ń fún wọn ní okun láti lọ sí ilé ìwé nìyẹn.
Èmi máa fẹ́ràn eléyìí o.
Àwọn ọmọ rẹ nílò okun tó ṣara lóore. Máa fún wọn ní àkọ́tun Milo tí a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ rọ lágbára sí láràárọ̀. Ó ní èròjà aṣara lóore tó ń ṣàtìlẹ́yìn ìpèsè okun fún wọn láti járamọ́ iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ wọn. Milo, okun ìtẹ̀síwájú.
Milo! It's Ramadan. Come on board. Let's go on a tour to the top restaurants where you can enjoy the best of the season. First stop is Charity Cafe. Here, the currency is sharing, so keep giving. Next stop is Kindness Bistro. Be the kindest you can be. Last but not the least, make a stop by at Forgiveness Drive-Thru and let go of every beef. And at Sahur and Iftar, bring it home with the goodness of great tasting meals with Noor. This Ramadan, don't just eat for good. Share the good and be the good. Noor, eat for good.
Ẹ̀yin fans mi.
It's okay.
Ẹ lọ sórí gbogbo ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ ní 32FM 949 fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀
Asafu. It's okay.
For how much? That's how you react when you see really high prices for rides. But there's no reason to worry, because with InDrive, you can always offer a fair deal and not just hope for it. Use InDrive and negotiate for the most fair price for you. InDrive, people driven.
The InDrive online passenger transportation aggregator is not a taxi service. Find more information at www.indrive.com.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Thank you for staying tuned to the Break of Dawn Papers review. It's time to dive into the analysis of some of the headlines that we've talked about this morning. I am DENIKE Adimwago.
And I am OLORUNTOBA. Yusuf, we have Mr. Femi Olukunle joining us this morning for the analysis. Mr. Femi, good to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, and I say happy Easter and happy new month to all our listeners. DENIKE, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right, let me start with this lead story from the Guardian newspaper. It's not like we've not heard it before, but the scale of it, I'm talking about the amount of oil theft that has been recorded just in the first quarter of this year alone. The headline says, oil theft persists in Niger Delta despite militarization. We know there is heavy militarization there, and there's also the private security of Mr. Government Ekemopolo, otherwise known as Tompolo, in that region. It's been very hard to meet the benchmark which was set in the 2024 budget by the president, 1.7 million barrels per day. There is, there are issues concerning daily production of crude oil, as vandals have been able to hit 2,426 points in just the first quarter of this year. I mean, you tend to wonder why this has continued to persist, especially given the amount of resources that have been earmarked for safeguarding the pipelines and everything. I mean, all of the allegations have also come up as well with the 1 billion, I think it was 1 billion there about the contract given to Tompolo at the time during the Buhari administration. Mr. Femi, why has this continued to linger on?
Well, I don't think you have to be surprised that it is lingering, and I don't think any Nigerian should be surprised, because we are doing things the same way and we continue to get the same results, except we do it in different ways, and then we will have variety of results. As long as, it's like we have not come to the realization that it is not just that those people are stealing crude. They are stealing our economy. They are stealing the today and tomorrow of this nation. They are stealing the welfare of this nation and the betterment of this nation, and they are stealing our respect in the Committee of Nations. So, if government does not know that, I think it's high time they knew. However, as long as we continue to do the same thing, we will never get different results. There was a particular day I was watching a video clip on the internet on how Saudi Arabia guards its oil company, its oil field. You cannot steal a pint of oil, even a drop, without the authorities knowing, because they have so many gadgets monitoring all the pipelines and every field that generates oil. So why can't we do it? It's just like the nation just wants some people, some irresponsible people call themselves big men, to steal. And why it is difficult for governments, past and present, to monitor this oil fields is one thing that should bother Nigerians.
We were doing 1.4 million as of January. Now we're around 1.2 million barrels per day, still far below the 1.7. What I'm thinking about is, I remember, in some of those international wars that Nigeria usually has an opportunity to get a windfall because of our oil sales. But we've not been able to do that in the Russia-Ukraine crisis because we're not even meeting our own benchmark.
Exactly.
Because of the war, Russia has not been able to, sell its oil. So we're supposed to be cashing out,
yes,
at this point.
I think before any of our callers would say this, let me quickly say it. The only antidote to the oil theft in Nigeria is by pronouncing death sentence on the oil thieves, because this is our economy. Unfortunately, we have relied on oil despite so many things that God has given us to shore up our economy. This oil is the major cash cow in this country. So, and the cash cow is not being taken care of, not being protected. Just forget about giving any contract to Tompolo and his boys. Forget about militarization of that place. All these people are human beings, and anybody can steal. But when they know the heavy consequences behind stealing, probably some of them will have a rethink before they do so. So, just like we have been saying that anybody who kidnaps should be sentenced to death, anybody who steals Nigeria's oil should also be killed, because they are killing all of us. So they are murdering us every day, every time they steal oil. So before they murder this country out of existence, let's send them to God. So as long as government refuses to do that, now we will continue to tell this story every time.
Speaking on oil reliance, what do you have to say about the current hoarding going on, especially in the city of Ibadan? I don't know of Lagos, but in Ibadan, it seems like some fuel stations are either shutting down early or not opening at all. Some are selling as high as whether 680, 690 or something like that. And some of them are working with the directive, or most of them are working with the directive, so-called directive, that the fuel price is coming down to maybe 500. And so they want to know before they start selling again.
You see, man is an enemy of man. That is just the answer to the question you asked me. Just like that woman at OJ Market will just inflate prices on speculation that, okay, Yasikiri has told me that by tomorrow price of beverages will go up, and then the ones she has in her stock, she bought it at not a price that is volatile, but she decided to increase the price, to jack it up beyond the reach of the masses. So the same thing is happening to those fuel sellers in the fuel stations. So man is just the enemy of man, and the unfortunate aspect of it is that something that has to control the wickedness of man is not at work, and that thing is government. Because yes, President Tinubu cannot come to Ibadan to monitor filling stations, but we have people employed by President Tinubu, put in place to ensure that this thing does not happen. But they are not doing it. And then if by the time they even go to these filling stations, they are bribed, and then they look the other way. Why people, the masses are suffering. So man is the enemy of man. So if these people will not do the right thing, then let us continue to be punished until when the masses say enough is enough, and then by then they will be saying there is uprising in the country. So I hope they will not push us to that level.
All right, let's talk about Bayo Onanuga, media aide to President Bola Tinubu. He made some allegations against Peter Obi, and that's the presidential candidate of the LP in the 2023 general election. He talks about Obi and his supporters working against the success of President Tinubu's government. He said that Obi engages in dangerous politics and does not comment on Tinubu's good works. So does this seem like a statement of distraction? And in terms of, are you trying to distract us from the cross of the matter? Because Peter Obi is not his principal, so why does he need Peter Obi's validation? Is Obi obligated to shower the present administration with praises?
Thank you very much for that question. You see, before President Tinubu rather, before President Tinubu gave Mr. Bayo Onanuga a portfolio, I think I was happy that we were going to have some respite. But when he gave him a portfolio, honestly speaking, I as a person, I was not happy, because if you look at his antecedents, if you look at what he did during the electioneering, this man promoted politics of bitterness so much, and that is now telling Peter Obi not to talk about what the president is not doing right. Is part of bitterness we are talking about. We should not harp too much on the successes of the president. Yes, we can mention them. Probably it will encourage him to do more. But we should talk more on those things that he is supposed to do that he's not doing. Because we employ him, we put him there to serve us. And if there are certain areas that the service is not coming or is in short supply, that is why we are here. That is why every Nigerian has the right to talk. Peter Obi is a Nigerian. He has to talk when he sees something that is going wrong. So for Bayo Onanuga to be telling Peter Obi to sing praise the president is not paying him. He's not eating at the table of the president. He, Bayo Onanuga, and his colleagues are the ones eating at the table of the president. That they are the ones that should sing praise him. Femi Olukunle will not sing praise the president if he doesn't do what is right. If he does what is right, yes, I will say it in this studio. But if he does what is not right, I will shout to the rooftop that yes, Mr. President, you are wrong. And that is what I believe Obi is doing. And any Nigerian has the right to do that, because he's the president of Nigerians, not the president of his APC. So Bayo Onanuga is very, very wrong to have nailed Obi to cross on that.
Okay, let's quickly talk politics now. Let's go to Ondo State. I think I read it earlier while we were going through the headlines. The politicking has started. People are already, throwing their hats in the ring to get the ticket of their respective parties in Ondo State ahead of the off-season election. Of course, Edo is happening. Ondo is also happening this year as well. One of them in the APC is Jimoh Ibrahim. He says he's the most qualified. And I was looking through the headline. He listed all of his, practically he showcased his resume, in that report. And I just want to ask you, what you make of, people talk about amassing degrees and leadership being two different things. And there's one thing to have all the degrees and the qualification. There's another thing to have the proper managerial skill to actually, navigate the position when or if you get elected, as a governor of a state.
Probably, if we had the opportunity to read everything he has written in that newspaper, yes, you will have seen that. You will have seen how he has. I'm sure he must have flaunted his Oxford certificate. Yes, that I went to Harvard, I went to Oxford, I went to. All these are not necessary to us. We don't need paper certification. We need the common sense that God has endowed you with. Those of them that are clerics, those of them that are pastors, alhajis, those of them that are religious people, see what they are doing in the National Assembly. See what they are doing as ministers. All of them that profess to be religious people, see what they are doing against Nigerians. So we don't need any paper certification. We don't need any.
But we always talk about where we don't want somebody that probably forged a certificate. We don't want someone that has just SSE. That we want, qualified people. So this is somebody that's coming to showcase that yes, these are my certificates. You can go and verify.
Yes, we are not saying. Yes. No, get me right. I'm not saying he forged them.
Yes,
but for him to say that it is because he amassed those certificates that makes him to be the most qualified for Ondo's governorship seat. That is very, very wrong. You see, we have to know his antecedents. We have to know his capability. I guess Ondo people will not rely on his chain of degrees. but we want to know the clout, the ability to drive that state to El Dorado. So even if you have a NCE, it's okay. Even if you have a HND, it's okay. If you have first degree, it's okay. But that you have a PhD, you have a chains of degrees, that will not qualify you. That will not make you the most qualified to run that state. So it should punish that thought.
All right, let's quickly go to the Premium Times. 3 bandit groups participated in Kuriga student abduction, received ransom. This is according to sources. According to this report, Premium Times got a hold of a recorded telephone conversation, and a witness narrated how the ransom was delivered. And there's a story here, or there's a narration here about how the abduction was orchestrated by one Yellow Jambros, one of the top commanders of the late Ali Kachala. And they said he had no prior experience in mass abduction, and he almost bungled it. So he had to invite other kingpins who had done mass abduction, like Dogo Gide, Alilu Sububu, and they came on board to cover up or to distribute the students that were kidnapped. Some sources said that the ransom was 1 billion naira, even though there was a particular interview on one TV station that there was no ransom paid. But in a recorded telephone conversation, they said there were about 10 SUVs that came into that community, and it was said that they were loaded with money they were conveying money to give to this bandits, and that was how that was facilitated. What do you have to say about this report out of the Premium Times?
I wouldn't know whether you were the one that was on this program with me, I think last week or so, where when they were flying the kite that no ransom was paid. And I said that if indeed they paid ransom, even if they paid 1 naira, we would know later. And then it appears it is coming to the forefront now. I know that it would have been so difficult for the entire 137 children to be released without something changing hands. And you see, I pointed to use of language by those by the governor of Kaduna State. He said those children were released, and there's a difference between releasing the children and rescuing the children. If it is rescue, there was kind of force. If it is release, there was a paddy arrangement that you give me this and I give you that. So that somebody that we are now hearing that certain things, certain money changed hands. It's not surprising to us. In fact, more stories I expect more stories about that ransom. But I think it is lending credence to what I said about a week or a week plus ago, that something must have exchanged hands, and that we will know later. We are now knowing. So I think more will still be gotten.
All right, we have to go on another commercial break. When we return, we'll open the phone lines to take your reactions. Do stay with us.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Ramadan tún ti dé. Óyá, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ rìnrìn àjò lọ sáwọn ilé oúnjẹ ìgbàlódé tó yáàyè níbi tẹ́ ẹ ti gbádùn ara yín ní sáà oṣù Ramadan yìí. Àkọ́kọ́ ibẹ̀ ní ilé oúnjẹ Àánú, níbi tí pípé ti ṣe pàtàkì. Nítorí náà, ẹ máa fi fúnni. Èyí tó tẹ̀lé ní ilé oúnjẹ Ọrẹ. Nítorí náà, ẹ máa jẹ́ onínúure tòótọ́. Èyí tó gbẹ̀yìn ni pé kó o dúró lójúnà ìdáríjì, kó o sì jọ̀wọ́ gbogbo ìkùnsínú. Ní àkókò àsùbá àti ṣínú, kó èrè wọlé pẹ̀lú adùn náà. Lóṣù Ramadan yìí, má kàn jẹun lásán nìkan. Pín ìgbádùn yìí kó o sì wà ní ìdára. Náà, jẹun fún ìdára. mi ò kí ń fẹ́ dá àwọn ọmọ mi mọ̀ tí wọ́n bá dé láti ilé ìwé lójoojúmọ́. ẹ ǹlẹ́ o, ǹjẹ́ mo mọ̀ yín báyìí?
Màámi àwa ni.
Àwọn aṣọ ilé ìwé àti bọ̀sẹ̀ tó dọ̀tí wọ̀nyí mọ́ tónítóní láàárọ̀. Àmọ́ ọ̀gá yín ti wá pàwọ̀dà báyìí. Òkùnkùn yà mí lẹ́nu. Kékeré kọ́ lọ́rọ̀ ilé ìwé. Kọ́mọ sì tó padà wálé pẹ̀lú àyípadà báyìí. Ó ní láti lókun lára. Torí náà ni mo ṣe máa ń rí dájú pé àwọn ọmọ mi ń jàgbádùn ìṣaralóore Milo láràárọ̀.
Àwọn ọmọ rẹ nílò ògùn tó ń ṣaralóore. Máa fún wọn ní àkọ́tún Milo tí a ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ rọ lágbára sí láràárọ̀. Ó ní èròjà aṣaralóore tó ń ṣàtìlẹ́yìn ìpèsè okun fún wọn láti járamọ́ iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ wọn. Milo, okun ìtẹ̀síwájú.
ọ̀kọ̀lọ́kọ̀ Ramadan dé oṣù ìkẹ́lọ́jà Ramadan dé oṣù àlùbáríkà ní 32 FM 94.9 àjàkẹ́rin Cocoa náà wà nìbàdàn ọ̀nà ń kí wa pé a kú àmójúbà o múmi náà á máa kú ọdún ó mà tún ti yá ká wá ṣiṣẹ́ ládàá ká so nígbọ̀wọ́ ètò iye tágbára bá ká ìṣẹ́jú márùn-ún mẹ́wàá tàbí ìṣẹ́jú mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dógún ọgbọ̀n ìṣẹ́jú wákàtí kan lówó kékeré ọyá kàgbéra ká lọ rálága Ramadan hello Mr. Ayédùn 07083196095 àwọn gan ló máa gbé tàbí kẹ́pẹ́ Yusufu lórí nọ́mbà yìí 08146113680 àwọn ló máa gbé Ramadan yìí máa dùn wá ó sọ̀pọ̀ ọdún.
ẹ̀yin fans mi.
It's okay.
ẹ lọ sórí gbogbo ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ ní 32 FM 949 fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ àsáàpù.
It's okay.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Welcome back. Break It Down Papers Review right here on 32 FM 94.9, your laughter station. It's time for you to be a part of the conversation. Now you can call us 0809 7000 949 or 906 2000 949. We're also streaming on Facebook, 32 FM 949 Fenya. Drop your comments there to be a part of the conversation.
All right, please call us back 0809 7000 949 or 906 2000 949. We seem to have a comment on Facebook. Kedran Babatune says, we don't have the money to buy fuel, but rather we're interested in what to eat. Let them continue to hoard the fuel, but they should remember that the heat is much presently to avoid unfavorable consequences. Government agencies involved in monitoring fuel stations and even GSM administration should set out to address those hoarding the fuel. Good morning.
DENIKE, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Please, okay. First, when you said they should kill people that are stealing, let me use Goodluck Jonathan's word, our crude. For your information, sir, the real people that are behind them are wealthy people who will be able to get lawyers that will actually, they will pay millions to make sure such things don't come to pass. It is easier to catch the ordinary man and kill the man when it's found, but the real people behind them will actually, because they want it to continue. And thank you for noticing that semantics in the statement of the governor. I pointed it out last week. I said this man used the word release and not rescue, that money was involved. And it's coming out. We will even hear more of all these old issues. When will this deceit end? It would have been better. Much as I agree, the government will not readily come out to tell us they paid money to release them. But we all know how it works here. How are we going to stop these criminals from kidnapping us? Who knows who will be the next? Good morning. That's okay.
All right. Thank you very much. 0829 7000 949.
All right, on Facebook, Rajia Fisa Bidemi says, Morning Toba, DENIKE and the analyst in the studio. The war against terrorism, the war against corruption, and the war against hardship are key to the survival of Nigeria. If they continue to be treated with levity, then the peace and development of Nigeria are being told with. Nigerian politicians and leaders should learn to match promises with performance. They would make promises only to come and tell the people at the end that Nigeria is a difficult country to govern. It is a difficult country to govern, yet the leaders go in and come out of government richer than the country, leaving hardship on the trail of the people. Things should change. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We have a call. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I've been from UI.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
They said despite the level of military in the Niger Delta, they are still stealing oil. The particular people that are stealing the oil, they are government friends.
And that was what led to the killing of 17 soldiers. That is the implication. The 17 soldiers are protecting a particular individual who is selling these fuels. And they said the person is a friend to government and NSA. What is the way forward? Those who are trying to who have been tormented for some years now, you hear them, they say they're in the bush now, for taking steps that snake are even biting them. Are you getting me now? So on your analysis that says the Continent will come to you and the monitoring fuel. If the president is competent, it is possible. We have examples in the past. Anytime Obama increased fuel, maybe from 10 to 11 years. No, not as wicked as this, actually. You must set up a task force. If you go and Google it now, no single police station will sell beyond that 1 naira. That's the competency. And the man will be talking to Nigeria every last Saturday of the month. The president explains. Why can't you guys Google it and think what kind of competent president now? You guys are voting for somebody who said a little call, you just want tribe, you don't want good leader. Everybody's on speak, Daddy.
All right. 0829 7949. Mr. Femi, there is this, would I say editorial? Okay, let's pick this call. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And that's Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
and
sir.
that is to you, sir.
Thank you so much,
for
sir.
Jimoh Ibrahim, let me remind him that intelligence is not determined by possession of certificate. And for Bayo Nonuga, when government chooses to supervise human sources, Nigerians, what is left for them is either to keep quiet or give constructive criticism against that government. I'm John Nuzon.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. This one from the Vanguard says Nigerians no longer accommodate relatives as cost of living soars. We'll pick this call. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dalukunle. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Dinga Mario, calling from Apata. On the issue of Jimoh Ibrahim, I think it doesn't have to come to the limelight telling us that he has this, he has that as certificate. You want people who can deliver. You want people who can put an end to the trauma that people have, that the poverty that is on those states. You want people that will put an end to it, not certificate. People are not voting to not be voted into power based on what you have. It's based on what you can deliver. Like last week, he brought some guys who are contesting to be a councillor to a radio station. And I was asking them a question. I said, what have you done before in your locality? Because you are more closer to people. They couldn't pinpoint on one thing that they have done. So I think that for what Jimoh Ibrahim said, to me, it's not good. It's a fallacy. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
All right, thank you. Okedu and Babatune says, let us believe this administration. They told us no ransom was paid. They already told us the pupils were released stress-free, possibly because the state and federal government are able to deploy other means not known to us. PBAT is doing things differently. Elo Fokobale, no ransom was paid. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
This is John Olaruwaju from Magdo. On the issue of Kaduna government that you say that they did not pay the ransom, right? Yoruba used to say, so we are not fools. We already knew that so far you use the word release. So definitely there is nothing like engaging each other there. So thank God for the children that they have released. But the government should try to be straightforward sometimes, because that is why even if they do something that is good, people will not even believe them. They will not trust them. So they need to come out and be straightforward sometimes. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I was talking about how the standard of living in Nigeria, people are now more conscious of how they spend, and the era where people take in young relatives and raising them along their children is gradually coming to an end because of the limited purchasing power of Nigerians at this time. There used to be times when Nigerians will assist other family members. People now are, our youths are not getting married as they should, and people are scared to have more children because of the current situation. What's your take on that?
I sincerely sympathize with the youths, because if you don't get married at the right time, the time that you will spend to train the children is waiting for you. You will train them into your old age. So that's why I sympathize with them. And it is not their making. It is because of the responsibilities of those who claim to be big men, who steal Nigeria's wealth. They are the ones that are making these young ones not to settle down at the right time. They are the ones that are making sure that there is no job. Because if the monies they are wasting, the monies they are stealing, are channeled into development of this country, honestly, this country will be an Eldorado. This country is wealthy enough to make all Nigerians to be comfortable. Now, for those who are procreating irresponsibly, anybody who's just giving birth, who is a baby producing machine, by the time, this time, I don't expect you to offload your responsibility to my threshold. So if you are responsible for bringing those children from heaven down to earth here, then you must be responsible to train them. I will not allow anybody to bring anybody, no matter how close you are to me in the family. I won't allow you to bring your responsibility to me. Even before this time that we are now, because some people will say, baby monyeton lara o man danyo laamu ni. So
Mr. Femi, what about the communal? Because as I don't know about the West, for instance, we have the communal upbringing thing.
My sister, you don't know that communal thing more than me, because I was a village boy. I lived in village, real village with grandma. But one thing I need to let you know is that in those days, things were okay. In the 60s, things were okay. In the 70s, things were okay. In the 80s, things were okay. Now, you cannot, from 90s, we begin to see the wahala from afar. Now, it is with us. So, and some people, despite the fact that we have these economic problems, some people are still carelessly procreating. So if you procreate anyhow, you must train them. And it is those of them that have not trained their children that have that have added to our problems. Because those children have become miscreants. They have become hired killers. They have become kidnappers. They have become touts. They have become political thugs. And they are giving us trouble.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Femi Olukolen, for your analysis this morning. Thank you, dear listener, for staying tuned to the Break It Down. It returns tomorrow, same time, 6:30 a.m. to 7:15. I am DENIKE Ademowago.
And I am OLORUNTOBA Yusuf. The Smart Kids Show is up next.